Hello everyone, welcome. You join me here today on Saturday, the 11th of March, and I'm gonna do a trade recap of a trade that I missed on Tuesday the 7th of March. So I'm gonna start off here in the 1 hour, just paint the picture. In the previous day, we had this 1 hour leg created and it pushed up, swept liquidity to the left and created a new high, right? Broke this high as well, created a new high. So that is my 1 hour leg. This is the premium, this is the discount. I identified an imbalance here as a draw on liquidity, right? So, and we had obviously taken a previous high here, right? So we had taken some buy side liquidity already. So I've tried to recreate the scenario using the replay function on TradingView, which I'm not super familiar with, so bear with me. Got the previous daily high here, previous daily low. So what we can see here on the 1 hour also is we have this trend line liquidity created overnight and in Asia, and we took that, broke that, right? Pulled down into this imbalance here and the equilibrium. We had a good strong move down, leaving behind a 1 hour order block. I'll go down into the 15 minute so we can see it a bit more clearer. So yes, so price pushed up from Asia lows during Frankfurt. We had this spike and sweep of the Asia high buy side liquidity. We also just barely, when I mean barely, I'm talking a couple pipettes, took the previous daily high. So yes and no, like, do you know what I mean? As in a sweep, it's spiked through it, even on my MT4. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have that there as a confluence, but it's not a convincing sweep of the previous daily high, right? But nevertheless, buy side liquidity has been taken, and we had a bearish breakdown. Now, what happened was it sort of created two areas of confluence. So here you can see we've got an order block here and a further breakdown, right? So this is how I formulated my trade. We've got the imbalance down here, and we've got a good breakdown at the moment after sweeping buy side liquidity. So now I'm looking for the pullback. I'm looking for the pullback to be corrective possibly and give me a good liquidity trend line that I'm willing to trade down either to the lows of London so far, the London zone so far, or to the imbalance. Yeah. So here we are on the 15 minute. This is what price has done so far. It broke down and it gave this short corrective pullback. Now I identified this 15 minute order block, of course, and usually, I'm happy to execute off of the 15 minute, and even better, it left this inducement before pulling down again. So this is buy side liquidity created just below the order block, which would be my entry point. Now, if I just mark up this position, it would be something like this, because I would cover this high here as well, right? So just to the imbalance, it's 2%. Obviously the trade's not fully formed yet, but this is how it's looking so far, and I'm fine with 2%, but there were risks here as well, right? Because there was actually gaps above. So let me go up to the 4 hour briefly. We'll see how the 4 hour looks at this point. Happy with the 4 hour. We've got a big bearish engulfing on the 4 hour closing out after sweeping the liquidity. So it does look good for a pullback into the discount. Now, I don't know how far into the discount, so of course my my TP is to safe zones I expect to be met, right? So preferably even the low so far of the session, right? That's more likely where I will head. But let me skip a few candles forward so you can see how this develops. Now it breaks that low, so obviously I can adjust. I'm still happy with this. Right, so what you'll see now, what I'm going to point out is what it's done is right above our 1 hour imbalance, it created equal lows, literally equal lows, right? So they're not even relative equal lows, they're actually equal lows right above my imbalance, which was even better for me for my trade. So we had this now. This is what I was looking at now, right? And this to me was fine. Even though that low's broken there, it's still part of the pullback. You could call it maybe a complex pullback, but it's left the inducement there, which is really good for me. It's left 2 equal lows here and an imbalance there. So the draw on that liquidity for me was great. Yeah, so that draw on liquidity for me, I was happy with. We had swept buy side liquidity, broken down, pulled back, and then broke down again. Left this as inducement for buy side liquidity below my sell POI. Right. The only thing is, because I'm going to drop down to the 5 minute, which was my entry time frame for this. So we've got the 15 minute and 5 minute order blocks overlapping, but I also identified obviously a 5 minute order block above, and I was thinking, okay, price could pull back to the higher POI, right? So I thought, if I'm gonna enter this trade here, I want it better than 2 to 1. I want to increase my risk to reward, because I thought of it as, I'm happy to lose this trade, but I want it to be worth it. I'm happy to lose this trade, and I thought 3 to 1 risk to reward ratio is very good, and in the long run works out well. So I did refine this down to the 5 minute. Now I believe my entry was set at 0.673. So right here, so it's about 3, just over 3. I'm not sure on the stop. I believe the stop was around here, just safely above these highs. And I thought, okay, if this trade don't work out, I can see how it looks when it's approaching here, right? So that's why I thought, if I'm going to take the riskier entry, that's how it felt at the time, I want the risk reward to go with that. So just to go back over, we've swept the buy side liquidity, broken down, and we're having our corrective pullback with even better inducement left right below my entry, and we have the imbalance and equal lows to draw on price. So I'll play this forward here, and you can see how I believe I was missed by 1 pip on my MT4, and it was also around the open. Let's play it and we'll see how it goes. And you can see how, because usually I wouldn't refine so much. I wouldn't be too bothered about refinement and higher RR, but it just, the circumstances at the time, I thought, okay, I'll possibly get missed on this trade, and I'll be okay with that, because it felt a bit riskier at the time. There was like some negatives, and POI above and imbalance above, so I could potentially be used as inducement for the move up here. So I took that risk, and of course we know how that went. If I even just got up to the 15 minutes, so the candles were a bit bigger, you can see how close it got. I think on MT4 it looked even closer. What did this candle get to? 6714. I think on my MT4 it was exactly 1 pip that I got swerved by, and I'll just let this play out because we saw how this day went. Yeah, there we go. There it was, that 1 pip that I missed out on. And yeah, that of course, along with the announcement from Powell, was a monster. Like this trade ran for like 10, 11. I would have never have aimed for these previous weekly lows, but that's what it ran for. I mean, at a max, somebody could go for the previous daily low, but that's not me. I would have aimed for these equal lows somewhere within the imbalance, for around the 3 to 1. And yeah, you can see there I was swerved by 1 pip. Like it came so close, and the way it dropped at the end of the day, oh man, yeah, that was a big miss. But we move. You over refine. Greed gets the best of you sometimes. It was also mitigating my risk. It's 3 to 1 in the long run plays out. A good ratio even with a low strike rate. So this sort of risk entry for me, I thought, okay, I want a 3 to 1 if I'm gonna go for this. So that's my trade summary. I hope I explained it well, and there's no confusion there. And yeah, greed just got the better of me, and I missed that trade, but I'll be back next week, and hopefully we can catch a big one. See you guys then.